Hey guys, it's David with Cars and Code. Today we're going to add some dependency injection or inversion of control to our friction circle application. So in order to start, the first thing we have to do is change our PCL's profile to something else because we're going to be using a library called Autofac. And Autofac is only going to work with certain versions of PCLs. So we're going to switch to .NET Standard 1.1. In order to do that, we're going to have to open up our PCL and edit the csproj file to get our profile version. And we're going to change this to 111. Version 111 is going to allow us to add Autofac. So if we come back to our application, we're going to have to reload our solution. Then we're going to come over to our solution and we're going to manage NuGet packages for solution. So we're going to have to install Autofac NuGet, but in order to get that, we first have to get system.runtime.interop services.runtime information. Now NuGet is supposed to automatically install dependencies because Autofac has a dependency on that interop services, except it doesn't install the right version. So we're going to have to go manually install the interop services first and then install our Autofac NuGet. So we're going to take this and install it on all of our projects. Once this is finished, we can go back and install Autofac. And again, we're going to install it on all of our projects. Okay, once Autofac is successfully installed, let's implement it into our application. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a new folder for all of our bootstrapping. We're going to create a bootstrapper class that is going to take our services and be able to resolve them. So first let's create a new folder called bootstrapping. Then let's add a new class called Autofac Bootstrapper. Now this is going to be an abstract class that we can use between different projects, and then we'll have an actual implementation of it called our bootstrapper. So make this a public abstract class, Autofac Bootstrapper. Now Autofac Bootstrapper is going to have a method called run, which is going to actually create our container. Now we're going to create our container and call some abstract methods on it so our actual Bootstrapper class can implement those methods. We're going to create a method called configure container, which is going to be a virtual method that our actual bootstrapping class can override to configure the container. Okay, we'll be adding some more code here later, but let's move on for now. Now here we're going to do our builder.build and put it in a local variable that we will be using later on. Now what we're going to do is actually try to implement our iAccelerometer dependency using Autofac instead of Xamarin's built-in dependency service. And the reason for this is Xamarin's dependency service is not very easy to use and it doesn't really allow you to do a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to move that away from Xamarin's built-in dependency service and use Autofac for this. So in order to do that, the Android application is going to have to register its Android accelerometer dependency as an instance of iAccelerometer dependency. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to come here to main activity and we're going to create a dictionary of type to type that we're going to pass into our bootstrapper. So let's do that right now. We're going to call this mapped types. Now in here we're going to add our map type for iAccelerometer dependency to Android accelerometer dependency. Once we have that, let's pass it through to our application. We're going to call a method called loadTypes on our application. Now let's create this method loadTypes on our application. So in here is where we're going to actually create our bootstrapper and run it. Now notice we actually don't have an instance of the bootstrapper class yet, so let's create that. And we're going to be a child class of an Autofac bootstrapper. Now back in our app, we can add the reference here. And here's where we can call our run on Bootstrapper. Now notice we have this map types we are going to want to pass to this Bootstrapper. So let's modify our run method to accept a mapped types object. Now let's go to that method in our Bootstrapper. And we're going to add in our map types. Now once we have these map types, let's put them in a private variable so we can use them in another method. Once we've done that, we can come into our configure container here and we can actually add the mapped types to our container. In order to do that, we're going to have to create a module, which is part of Autofac, to do this. And it's going to make it a little more clean for us. So we're going to create a new folder in here called modules. And under modules, we're going to add a new mapped types module. Now this is going to inherit from the Autofac module. And in here, we're going to have a method we can override called load. And this is where we're going to load in our map types. So in order to get our map types, let's generate a constructor. And we're going to accept this dictionary of map types in our constructor. Then we can store these map types in our module. Now in load, we're just going to add each key value pair and register it. And this should loop through all of our map types and register our value as the key object. Now if we go back to our Autofac Bootstrapper, we can implement that. So first let's make sure that map types is not equal to null and not empty. Now if it's not null and not empty, let's add it. Okay, now we have our map type module added. So if we come back to our main activity, we can see we're adding this map types of iAccelerometer dependency, and we're going to register an Android accelerometer dependency as that iAccelerometer dependency. We're going to pass that into our application called load types, which is going to call our Bootstrapper, and it's going to call this run with map types, which is going to actually go through, configure a container, and register those map types with the container. So now we have our iAccelerometer dependency, and we can inject it into the classes that we need. So if we come over to our view models, we have our main view model. Now this is where we're going to need our iAccelerometer dependency. Now we're going to use Autofac to directly inject this iAccelerometer dependency into our constructor. So all we have to do is add our iAccelerometer dependency here, and it should automatically add it for us. And then we just replace with this dependency service with our accelerometer service that's injected. Okay, once we've done that, we can come back to our Android accelerometer dependency and get rid of this reference because we will not need this anymore. Now, the problem is if we try to build our application, we're going to get an error here that no argument given corresponds to the required formal parameter of accelerometer service. So pretty much we just can't create our view models anymore, and we're going to use Autofac to actually generate our view models and views together, so we don't need to worry about that. So let's get rid of this right here. Now we're going to come back over to our Autofac Bootstrapper, and we're going to add two more abstract methods. One for register views, where our Bootstrapper can register all of the views and view models in our application, and another one to actually configure the application and set up the main page. So let's create those. Now that we have these, let's actually call them from our run with map types method. Okay, now all that's left to do is to implement these new abstract methods on our actual Bootstrapper class. Let's come over here and implement them. So for our register views, all we have to do is register our main page and main view model with our builder. And we're going to register them as a single instance so we can use the same page and same view model throughout our application. So if a user navigates around, they'll always have the same main page and the same main page view model. Now our configure application, we're going to actually come through and resolve our views and set them as the main page of our application. That means we're going to need a reference to our application. So let's add that to our constructor. Now in configure application, first let's grab our main page and our main view model. Now we can set the binding context of our page to our main view model. And then we can set the main page of our application. So now we've registered our service, and we can use Autofac to directly create the main page of our application. Now this means we don't need to actually go to our app.xaml.cs file, and we're going to have to actually remove the main page from there. And then we just have to pass in this to the bootstrapper, this application. So then everything else should be good, and we can actually run our application. This should first actually be map type set any to see if we actually have any. So now we can run this, and it's going to work exactly like before, only we're going to be using Autofac instead of Xamarin's dependency service. So in the next video, we're going to go a little bit more into navigation and how we can set up the views better, because setting up the views manually like this is not very nice. So we're going to make that a little bit better in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.